Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our closing sessions event for spring 23 as we wrap up academic year 23 here at LaGuardia Community College. I'm Kenneth Adams, president of LaGuardia. Great to have you join us. Thanks. We have a smaller than usual crowd here at the Little Theater, just because obviously of the atmospheric conditions out there. We've reduced and actually canceled most of our activities here on campus today. So for the handful of people here, you'll have to make extra loud noise for our speakers, and not for me, but just so our audience at home feels exaggerated enthusiasm by all this. I want to start by, as always, welcoming and thanking our American Sign Language interpreters. To my right, of course, Susan Weinstein, a partner to me in all of these events, but she is often, let's say she has her partners too from our team of interpreters at LaGuardia, and today Alan White will also be working with us as a sign language interpreter. Welcome, Alan. Thanks for being here. A quick look at the outline for our closing sessions program today. We are going to hear from our provost, Dr. Billy Gastic Rosado, on teaching and learning at LaGuardia this year. We're going to introduce to you, if you haven't met him yet, our new Vice President of Enrollment Management, Ben Roden, who will do a presentation on enrollment. We were going to have a presentation on adult and continuing education and workforce development by VP Sunil Gupta, but he has a family obligation today. So he gave his notes kindly to Billy, and she will make Sunil's presentation for him. And then I'll come back to do a wrap-up with some kind of year-end college news and updates and thank you and recognition and that kind of thing. Now, before we start, or as we start, let's do a little reminder of the LaGuardia Community College leadership team. We can't get all 17 of us up here on the stage today, so this picture of my cabinet will have to do. Note, please, two important new faces. Ben Roden, our new VP of Enrollment Management, who started on March 20th, and someone who hasn't started yet, Dr. Alexis McLean. She's going to be our new VP of Student Affairs, and she starts next week. Okay, yeah. Wow. You know, that's a loud sound for a theater that holds 199 people that isn't quite filled to capacity today. Thank you very much for all of that. At this point, let me ask our provost, Dr. Billy Gastic Rosado, to step forward and share her report with you. Billy?
Good morning, everyone. No. This was a year of transitions, my first as provost, and a year when we began to return to the riches of life on campus. So many activities and events celebrated their first year back since the pandemic, and for that, we're all grateful. As I look back, I'm struck by how much we have accomplished. So many successes, projects, grants, and new partnerships, like our launch of the Business Academy with Baruch College. Here are a few areas of work that I'd like to highlight from this past year. As many of you may know, we were awarded $230,000 in funding from CUNY over 3 years to strengthen our AAS programs. And as part of this, we designed a 2-semester apprenticeship program with Wells Fargo for students in programming and software development, and also implemented the MasterCard apprenticeship. And in wonderful news, all 12 students who took part were offered full-time positions starting this June. Through our Credits for Success initiative, we know that credit for prior learning is an important way for us to acknowledge that so many students come with work and other experience that directly relates to their field of study and for which they can earn academic credit. And we're making very good progress. This year, over 250 students were advised. Partnerships with 17 community-based organizations were established, and over 1,300 credits were awarded based on credit for prior learning. As you know, LaGuardia has a deep commitment to building a bridge to high school students and give them a sense of what college is like and help them build their confidence to pursue a college degree. This year, early college anticipates nearly 70 students to graduate with an associate's degree while still being in the 12th grade, which is just extraordinary. Also, the CUNY Explorers program ensures that every 7th grader is exposed to a college-going culture and has the opportunity to visit a college campus at least once. CUNY Explorers recently expanded its outreach to middle school students. To high school students. And our program has hosted a total of 1,900 middle school and high school students on campus to date. Turning now to research. With greater attention from CUNY on undergraduate research as a high-impact practice, faculty and staff formed the LaGuardia Research Committee, which representatives from all departments. This committee engages staff and faculty to promote and support undergraduate research and faculty scholarship, and to ensure research training and compliance. Last month, 11 LaGuardia students participated in CUNY's inaugural undergraduate research conference at BMCC, and for that we are very proud. Next, you may see their emails once in a while. The LaGuardia Mindful Corps has introduced mindful practice to 260 students in their courses this year. And preliminary findings show that mindfulness practice both increases concentration and self-compassion and decreases anxiety. Nearly 72% of students after the program said they kept practicing mindfulness on at least a weekly basis, and additional cohorts will be added next year. LaGuardia's e-portfolio practice is moving beyond the classroom. Faculty participating in innovation grants are engaging students in co-curricular career and transfer activities, capturing what they're learning in e-portfolios. Additionally, education and natural sciences students were supported by faculty and peer mentors to participate in the first e-portfolio design studio, where they shared revised e-portfolios with professionals from their fields of interest. And we thank the Center for Career and Professional Development for recruiting those industry professionals to provide that very special kind of feedback. And keeping with the fast-moving developments in technology, which are changing as we speak, and in collaboration with faculty, the CTL organized a workshop on ChatGPT. Faculty learned about artificial intelligence tools and tried out some while discussing their implications on their classroom practice and students at LaGuardia. Next year, faculty will facilitate a CTL seminar focused on innovative pedagogy and the era of AI. Next slide, please. Turning now to advising. Student advising services achieved the highest retention rate in recent years, with 70% of the total number of SAS fall students being retained for spring 2023. I want to congratulate that team for exceptional work. We also saw the successful launch of our advising and mentoring model. And right now, all second semester students not in a special program like ASAP or College Discovery receive report from a faculty mentor, a professional advisor, and a team of peer advisors. Turning now to ASAP. ASAP exceeded its spring 2023 recruitment target by 35%, recruiting a total of 416 students for the fall, and this is terrific news. Student engagement in ASAP also surpassed pre-pandemic levels, and we expect nearly 800 ASAP students to graduate this year. Again, another extraordinary milestone. ASAP recently hosted its first ASAP STEM recognition ceremony in collaboration with several faculty members from the Natural Sciences Department. This department recognized and honored highly engaged students across programs such as NIH Bridges, CRISP, and other undergraduate opportunities. And finally, College Discovery. A recent audit found that students have found College Discovery at LaGuardia to be effective in assisting them in reaching their personal and academic goals. Students report that the counseling services were effective in helping them graduate, and the tutoring services were effective in helping them successfully complete their courses. Another study of College Discovery alumni and four-year transfers found that College Discovery bolstered students' confidence and sense of self at LaGuardia that they carried with them. Consequently, students transferred those experiences as they were more comfortable self-advocating and seeking help as they navigated the transfer process. And that's just a little bit, as you all know, of what's been going on at the college this year. Next year, looking ahead, we'll continue to move forward, adding, of course, new ventures to our plate. Among them are the new the new Office of Experiential and Global Learning that will serve as a hub to support the impressive work already being done across the college in these areas. We, of course, will review and discuss the coach results, which is the first survey since the height of the pandemic, and check in on how faculty are feeling and make plans to address those areas that need attention. We will increase support available to faculty navigating professional milestones like tenure and promotion. And we'll also continue to make progress on the recommendation of the Senate's Online Learning Committee, taking action to build an infrastructure that supports faculty and students in ways that promote equal access to success, regardless of whether one is studying online or on campus. This year, we reduced class enrollment caps in online courses, and there's much more work to be done. And finally, I'm thrilled that the Senate is working on reintroducing a set of faculty and staff recognition awards, which will serve as one of the important ways that we recognize and demonstrate our gratitude to colleagues and their investment in the college and pursuit of professional excellence. Thank you for such an extraordinary year, and my best wishes for the summer.
Hello, I'm Ben Roden. I'm the 2.5 months long VP for Enrollment Management here at LaGuardia. I'm really thrilled to be here today and give you a brief update on kind of enrollment and some of my early observations here at the college. So some of my earliest observations here and things that my team is working on kind of right out of the gate here is really just an assessment of our enrollment operations. And within that, our recruitment and admissions processing, where there are efficiencies that we can kind of gain to kind of better position ourselves in the market. We are looking very closely at our kind of a holistic communications plans from kind of the beginning of the recruitment cycle all the way through until the onboarding and handoff to the advising team. We are looking at our market position and how we've been performing in the market over the last number of years to understand where we might be gaining and losing ground and help preparing ourselves for what's to come in the next few years to come. We are looking carefully at how we are aligned in terms of our efforts in the enrollment market calendar. And by that, I mean, are we out in recruiting at the right times of the year? Are we looking to enroll students at the right time of year, whereas we are well positioned competitively? And maybe the most importantly, we're looking at the student service environment here in terms of what is trying to look at our entire operation through the lens of a student and whether or not this is a good experience for them. You know, we think very long and hard about what we can do to kind of improve that student experience as a mechanism to kind of improve our enrollment yield at the college. Some of the other things we're looking at are kind of revitalization of some cross-divisional collaborations. There had been some existing collaborations around enrollment committees meeting regularly. We're really looking to kind of revitalize that work and really reinforce some of the cross-divisional work that we're doing. And by cross-divisional, I'm also including kind of academic affairs. I think this is an area where I've been out there talking to many people on the academic side of the house, department chairs, program directors, trying to create better linkages moving forward between academic affairs and enrollment management. For those who haven't heard me say this, you know, my personal kind of enrollment philosophy is that enrollment management exists as a service organization to serve the academic mission of the college. And I think we're working very carefully to move in that direction to make sure that the work we're doing is not just strategic, but also in consensus with where the college needs to go in our strategic vision. Listening tour, I'm out. talking to anyone and everyone who will talk to me about what's special and amazing about LaGuardia. So if I haven't met with you already, I'm coming, and so stay tuned. Next slide, please. I don't know if you can all see this here in the room, but hopefully online you will see this a little carefully. I wanted to give you a sense of where we are in the context of our CUNY market. Just so you know, all the data in this presentation is coming from the CUNY Insights dashboard. It's a relatively new feature that CUNY has launched, and it really is a powerful tool for us to understand how we're performing relative to our kind of other kind of community college peer institutions, but also more broadly, the CUNY market, which is really an important proxy in terms of how the overall enrollment market in New York City is performing. What you can see here is that you kind of focus on the right-hand side with the bar graphs. Last year, fall 2022, as compared to fall 21, community colleges in general were down 10% in terms of total enrollment. We also had a very similar and a very difficult year last fall, where we were down in the red bar down at the bottom. But if you look forward to this year, community colleges are now up 13% relative to last year at this time. This is a huge swing for us. It's almost 20 plus percentage point swing in the community college market, which is incredibly good kind of indicator of like the recovery that's happening out there post-pandemic. And certainly if you look down, again, the LaGuardia line relative to some of our community college peers, we are up 21% relative to last year this time. We are among just a few institutions with Hostos and Kingsborough that are kind of leading the pack this year among the community colleges in terms of how much better we're doing relative to last year. But if you take our numbers in general, you're looking at over a 50% swing over these 2 years in terms of how students are re-engaging with LaGuardia Community College. I think this is really, really promising sign for us that we are looking to level off moving into this fall coming up, and that we have some real reason to be optimistic moving forward. These should be big enough for everyone to see. I tried to enlarge these. This is just a snapshot of how the spring 2023 is looking. Certainly, we are experiencing some of the lag that I just talked about, where we are still down about 4%. This is both session 1 and 2 together. And CUNY in general is down 2.7 during that period of time. So we're not that far off the CUNY total, but we're certainly a little bit farther behind our community college peers. And this is something that we've been actively working on over the last number of months. So this is just what we call the enrollment funnel. And forgive me, I don't know what kind of presentations have been put in front of you before, so it's a little bit more in the weeds with admissions. But just to get you a sense of how our application and our kind of enrollment yield is looking at for this fall 2023 cycle, we're at over 23,000 applications for this fall already. We had about 25,000 last year at the end of the cycle. So we have still a couple of months left, and we are highly optimistic that we are going to exceed last year's application numbers as an indication of increased interest in LaGuardia Community College, which is fantastic. We want to see those numbers continue to grow year after year. The more interest we can generate at the college, the more we can kind of find the right fit for more students to kind of come and fill out our classrooms in the fall. You can see that we are at about an 82% admit rate. Really the difference between that 19,000 admitted students and the 23 that have applied, or really students are still working through getting documentation into us. There's a good number of international students in there who have kind of additional requirements for them to be able to complete their applications so that we can actually make a decision. But we're hoping to get as many through as possible so that we can give as many students an opportunity to be students here as possible. One area which I've been talking with both my team and the senior team is that our enrollment yield is about 3% right now relative to those admitted students. We're a little bit behind where our community college partners are at this point, as well as CUNY. And this is really the focus over the summer, where my team is really ratcheting up a lot of their efforts this summer to try to really get to these students and make sure that they understand why LaGuardia is the right choice for them. So this summer, just a handful of things that we're doing. We are looking to expand what we call our Saturday Kickstart events. These are kind of all hands on deck, cross-divisional activities that take place, almost like a mini open house sort of kind of activity. We had one last Saturday. It was incredible. It was the first time I got to see this entire college come together and work in that type of environment. It was really inspiring. I was overly impressed by every staff person, so I want to give a really big thank you to all the various offices that came out for that event. It gave me a lot of hope that we can really organize ourselves to kind of to attract students and convince them this is the right place that they want to be. These events typically work with students who need to get through completion of their documentation. They get advised at these events, and they actually can get registered if they have everything in place. It's really, really kind of a one-stop shop for kind of from an admissions perspective. We're also expanding cross-divisional admissions events during the week. And these are events between admissions, financial aid, registrar, advising, bursar, and others who are coming together typically on Thursdays right now, and we're looking at expanding these a little bit. So we have more opportunities for students to meet their scheduling needs to come in and interface with the college. But in general, we are moving more and more towards this one-stop model for servicing students, both in the admissions space and the enrollment space. I think it's something we've been talking about. We really want to kind of cut down the quote-unquote runaround that students can get when they have many things that they need to get taken care of before they enroll. And so far, it's been working very well. And then the last thing that really is going to be a focus is retooling our communications and outreach efforts. Just in general, I want to do more of it. And so we're looking at that. CUNY is also going to be rolling out some new kind of communications tools. And so we will be looking to kind of use that as a process to kind of reevaluate everything that we have in place. But I think there's a lot of opportunity there, particularly in the outreach front, to reach students and help proactively help them get their business taken care of. So kind of final slide, I am already thinking about the next year. I mean, one of the things in enrollment management is you have to think about this cycle, spring 2023. You need to think about next cycle, fall 2023, spring 24. And yet we have to do preparations for fall 24 and spring 25, just in terms of preparing our recruitment strategies, marketing materials, all those kind of things. So we are working already to work on what are we looking at for next year. We are putting together right now, and this is something that we will be talking to a broader group of individuals about, essentially a list of strategic priorities for this year in preparation for next year. Things, infrastructure we need to put in place, investments that might be necessary, but also strategies that cost nothing for us to do, just to kind of realign ourselves to better position ourselves and to provide better services for our students this year coming up. This is things that you put 50 people in a room, they'd all come up with the same handful of things that we really should be doing, and let's make some decisions to actually do them. But really, we want to link some of these priorities to the upcoming college's strategic planning process, which, one of the things that I want to make sure is that when we develop a multi-year strategic enrollment plan, that it's a facilitating document for the college's strategic plan. So we're putting in place this kind of one-year strategic initiatives. We were going to engage as kind of partners in the strategic planning process. And hopefully by the end of spring 2024, we'll have a multi-year strategic enrollment plan, which really is a statement, like I said, a consensus document that actually is a statement about what it is we believe we need to do for the next number of years to kind of advance those strategic priorities of the college. Ordinarily, I will take questions at this point, but what I would say is my door is always open. C107, come see me, send me an email. I would love to engage with you all about any questions or comments you have about the presentation or any other enrollment-related matter. Thank you.
Now I get to have some fun and tell you about what's been going on at ACE. It's my pleasure to share these updates on behalf of VP Sunil Gupta. As mentioned in the Provost's remarks, Credits for Success, Credits for Prior Learning is a great example of LaGuardia living the one college culture, with ACE and Academic Affairs working together with the support of the Robin Hood Foundation to make these opportunities available for students. Did you know I knew this just by reading Sunil's comments, that LaGuardia is the largest provider of non-degree vocational training in the CUNY system. Wow. Enrollment in our workforce training programs continues a strong upward trend. And in the first 3 quarters of this year, already we are outdoing ourselves. That our enrollment now constitutes an 11% increase from where we were last year. Our ACE colleagues will be also introducing new programs. So keep out your eye for the film production training program developed in collaboration with the film and television program in the humanities department, and new certificate programs in sustainable energy and green tech. Turning now to TELC. In the English Language Center, enrollments grew again by 21% from last year to over 2,100 students. We are so proud that LaGuardia is, again, the largest provider of ESOL education in New York City. I think that deserves. Last week, we signed an agreement with the FedCap Group, which is a global workforce development, education, and health services provider, to make LaGuardia the inaugural educational partner at Civic Hall. Opening in September, Civic Hall will be an 80,000 square foot education and meetup space for the city's growing tech center. And it's located on 14th Street, just off Union Square. This collaboration will enable us to offer ACE IT training programs in a state-of-the-art facility. It also marks the expansion of LaGuardia into Manhattan, placing our students firmly in the center of the tech community, which is the fastest growing sector of the city's economy. Sunil wanted me to recognize the team at the Center for Career and Professional Development for launching the new SOAR internship this year. SOAR is an effort to put all internship opportunities for degree-seeking students in the same place, a place that's easy for students to find opportunities and where they get lots of support from the team. And so far, 233 students have been placed in paid internships through the various programs overseen by SOAR this year. Next slide, please. LaGuardia's Summer Youth Employment Program is now in its 35th year. Its mission is to offer teenagers and young adults summer learning and work experience. And great news, enrollment is up 22%. LaGuardia's Center for Immigrant Education and Training hosted its first in-person family night after 3 years of holding it remotely. About 100 students of English and their families attended the free event with their school-aged children. If you've seen the pictures, they're just a beautiful thing. The program empowers English language learners, most recently immigrants, to advocate for their children in school, provide homework support at home, and become lifelong learners. Turning now to the Small Business Development Center. Congratulations. They have helped small businesses from Queens and beyond secure over $15 million in small business loans this year. Our colleagues at the Apex Accelerator, which helps minority and women-owned business enterprises obtain valuable government contracts, have also had a busy and productive year. One success story is that of Unique Comp Inc., a computer and technology equipment services company located here in Long Island City. Thanks to the Apex Accelerator Group, Unique Comp recently secured contracts at the state and city levels worth over $25 million. Think about the difference that's going to make for that business. And finally, Sunil wanted me to deliver a big thank you and shout out to all of the dedicated ACE team members across the different units at ACE in our pre-college, business services, and workforce development areas. Thanks to all of you for your excellent work this year.
All right. Thank you very much, Billy, for filling in for Sunil and giving that report of all of the great activities happening in our ACE division. Now, I want to share some news from around the college as we close out the spring one term of 2023. And here's a little bit of a table of contents. Wendy Nicholson, our executive director of DEI, and I want to congratulate Talila Thompson, who actually is here in the Little Theater. Oh, she was doing the check-in. She's the winner of our Spring 23 One LaGuardia Art and Video Competition. At the start of the semester, as part of our CUNY-funded Campus Climate Project, we invited students, faculty, and staff to answer the question, who are you in graphic or video creations? And the entries in Who Are You, you can check these out. The entries in the competition can be viewed on a special part of our website, the One LaGuardia website. Each submission received a prize, and we gave Talila her winning submission a special kind of exhibition space. You can see her creation on the first floor of M Building. And in fact, especially those of you here this morning, go see it on your way out. And a big congratulations again to Talila. This semester, I've been meeting with our affinity groups to get their advice on how our administration can best support the work that they do as volunteers on the front lines of creating a truly inclusive community here at LaGuardia. And we are really fortunate to have so many of our colleagues devoted to this important work. They're the force behind making LaGuardia a diverse and welcoming environment for everybody. So I want to take a moment to recognize the leaders and members of these organizations. The Asian American Faculty and Staff Association and its affiliate, the AAPI Celebration Committee, the Black Lives Matter Summit Committee, the Faculty and Staff of Color Collective, Lavender LaGuardia, La Casa de las Americas, and SURGE, or Showing Up for Racial Justice. Next, one of my favorite topics, I think you all know, fundraising. I have a couple of updates from Laura Bartovics and Jay Golden. First, from Laura, the director of our grants office. I asked her for highlights of fundraising this year, and the good news is there were too many to review. She picked 4, or I forced her to pick 4. We got a very important grant from the Sherman Fairchild Foundation this spring, about $500,000. It's a 3-year grant, and it will enable the college to enhance technology and equipment, tools, to support learning in natural sciences and mathematics, engineering, and computer science. That grant also, by the way, may help us build finally a greenhouse behind C Building for our Sustainable Urban Agriculture Program and others. We got a grant from the Ichigo Foundation, a small family foundation, that has given us a $233,000 grant over 2 years to launch the LaGuardia Community College Correctional Education Partnership, an initiative to centralize and coordinate what have historically been disparate and sometimes disconnected efforts to serve justice-involved students. I'm going to describe this important project a little more fully in a moment. Third, Laura wanted to mention a grant that took us a very long time to secure, working with another government agency. The New York State, Empire State, or ESD, it's called the New York Entertainment Workforce Diversity Grant. We're the first organization to get one of these. It will support the LaGuardia Community College Film Production Training Program Billy just mentioned when she was channeling Sunil. It's $205,000 for a year, but it's renewable if we get it right. This new ACE program will provide training in high-demand film and television production crafts, such as grip, electric, and property. The program's a joint venture between Film and Television Humanities, as Billy mentioned, and ACE, which will host it, in partnership, and this is key, with Local 52 Motion Picture Studio Mechanics of IATSE, which is the International Association of Theatrical and Stage Employees based in Astoria. Finally, we had a huge increase in our Perkins funding this year that Sunil worked on with Laura and Academic Affairs. We recently received notice from New York State that our FY24 allocation under the Perkins funding, which is federal legislation that runs through the state, the allocation will be the largest that LaGuardia has ever received, $2.5 million for FY24, which is almost a $1 million increase over this year's grant. Yes, clap for that, come on. That's a big deal. That's a hard grant. Over at the foundation, and I think Jay Golan, our executive director, would be here, but they had a big foundation board meeting last night, and he's recovering. Jay gave me some highlights to share with you all. First of all, this is also a record for the foundation and for the college. The LaGuardia Community College Foundation this year, this academic year, allocated close to $7 million to meet student needs, which is, again, a record amount of foundation support for our LaGuardia students. Now, it comes from a combination of our Tomorrow campaign funds, right, the $15 million fundraising campaign we led during the pandemic. That funding combined with our annual fund contributions. And I should point out, many of our supporters of the foundation are you all. Generous gifts. We have a lot of generous gifts from LaGuardia faculty and staff. Thank you very much for that. This year, the LaGuardia Foundation has given awards, over 6,000 awards in 12 months. 6,000 awards to students for scholarships, stipends, on-campus employment, and emergency aid. And we are at the top. Jay did a little research for me yesterday amongst community colleges in CUNY for the amount of students we serve and the dollar value of all of that aid, the $7 million that we provide to our students. I think we're just slightly behind our friends at Ostos, and that's because they had a very special, kind of one-shot, very big grant, which they put to good use. Some of our foundation board members hope to spend more time at LaGuardia in the coming year. So if you have special events, activities, things in your classroom and beyond that you'd like to invite foundation board members to, please let Jay know. At the end of the day, the foundation magic happens. It always happens. And our donors get to meet our incredible LaGuardia students, especially if they're doing something here on campus with you. Moving to technology, I want to catch up on a couple of points here. Earlier this year, you may recall that following the departure of our longtime CIO, Henry Saltiel, we merged the IT division into the Division of Administration and Finance under the leadership of Senior Vice President Shahir Irfan. I'm pleased to let you know that last week, VP Irfan named our own Jason Bryan as the college's new CIO, Chief Information Officer. Congratulations, Jason. He is here. He didn't know I was going to do that because he hadn't seen my notes, but I'm glad you're here. Congratulations, Jason. This news sort of comes from Jason. In other IT news, we successfully completed the email migration to M365 to secure email and the cloud. Yay, that's Jason clapping. He's glad that's over. We were actually, of the 25 CUNY schools, Jason had us way out in the vanguard, ahead of the other CUNY colleges getting this done. We were able to complete all three phases: implementation, migration of your old emails, and multi-factor authentication. Does everyone know how to do their MFA now? I had mine this morning. It comes up all the time. Right? You know how to do that, please. It's a good thing we have that MFA. It was all done in a single phase, thanks to our IT team, eliminating added complexities and confusion suffered, of course, at many other campuses. Now, these transitions are never perfect, so I need to pause and offer our apologies to any of you that suffered inconveniences during the process. We launched our new Student Technology Help Desk Center, located in the B building, B127. We created this new center, and it's proven to be an effective solution for students needing access to digital resources and tools. Students now have a place, a physical space to go to, in addition to virtual assistance. Remember, during the pandemic, our IT support for students was done virtually, and we wanted to build a place on campus where students could go for one-on-one support for their tech support. Let me move over to HR for a second. It's no secret, seriously and unfortunately, that we're understaffed in many areas of the college. Many departments have lost colleagues who have retired or moved on, and for a variety of reasons, most of them financial, right? We haven't been able to replace people as quickly as we all might like. So we're understaffed, and I want to recognize that and recognize that that puts a lot of stress on most of you just to get the job done, because it often feels like you're doing more jobs than just your own. So thank you for your patience as we rebuild our staff. But one of the areas, I suppose I could say ironically, that is severely understaffed is HR itself. And again, we're working to restaff HR and build up the capacity to serve all of our employees as best we can. But there's good news I wanted to share. Our Executive Director, Marta Clark, wanted me to tell you that starting June 26th, we will have a new benefits manager in HR. So that's, again, good news to start rebuilding that office. In other HR news, the CUNY Central VRB, that's that great, I love saying that. I don't like working with it, but I like saying it. The VRB, no, that's the Vacancy Review Board of the central office, which we have to seek their approval for every new hire, even if it's a replacement. And it's an important control, to be sure. But they have, this is good news too, they approved on Monday our hiring of an assistant chief diversity officer. This will increase the chief diversity officer's support of searches. If any of you are on search committees, not that we have that much searching going on, but when we do, we need search committees to move quickly so we don't lose good candidates. And by having more support in the CDO office, because they review the search process, we should be able to accelerate searches. This will also help our Chief Diversity Officer, Craig Green, with his Title IX investigations, because it's hard for him to actually manage all of the cases that come his way. And so we'll begin a search in a few weeks for a new Assistant Chief Diversity Officer who will join Craig and Judy this summer. And finally, Marta Clark wanted me to share with you that automation of time and leave using the HR Assist platform is going to go live this summer. I think that means you can start to say goodbye to those paper timesheets. Hey, round of applause. A couple special projects I wanted to point out. I'll give a little more detail. I think a few were mentioned a moment ago. This is what I mentioned. I'm very excited to announce the launch of the Correctional Education Partnership. And thanks to a grant, as mentioned, from the Ichigo Foundation, we're going to create a special office here at LaGuardia specifically to serve justice-involved students. Our goal is to support justice-involved students in navigating program selection and enrollment for workforce training, pre-college programs, and associate degree programs here at LaGuardia. We want to increase recruitment activities to attract more justice-involved students to the college, develop and deliver support services specifically designed for justice-involved students, including specialized advising and counseling, and increase LaGuardia's participation in citywide initiatives related to the education and training of incarcerated and formerly incarcerated individuals. LaGuardia responds to the city's needs in many ways, and you know how I like to say that we always have to double down on the second word in our name, community. So here's another example. To do our part to address the critical shortage of lifeguards at pools and beaches across New York City this summer, we're launching the LaGuardia Lifeguard Training Program in collaboration with the New York City YMCA under the leadership of our long-serving and wonderful aquatics director, Dragos Koka. You know anyone interested in becoming a lifeguard, send them over to George Schreiner and ACE. He'll sign them up for the program this summer. And just to put it out there, you may know this, there's such a huge shortage of lifeguards. There are lifeguard jobs available all across the city. So if you know anyone who likes to swim and wants to be a lifeguard, have them come to our program. In a few weeks, we're going to be opening up an office, this is interesting, of the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, right here at LaGuardia. And that's because we have been selected to host a representative of the USDA at LaGuardia, which we're going to do under the auspices of La Casa de las Americas. And this individual, who will be paid by the USDA, is going to do outreach to other Hispanic-serving institutions in this region to promote education and careers in agriculture. That's what the USDA does. But this works really well for us because it will support our new degree program mentioned a moment ago in sustainable urban agriculture. I think we could get them to help us build that greenhouse. And yes, it further kind of cements our role, advances our role as a Hispanic serving institution in the region. After all, that's why we were selected for this. And thank you. And I mean, this is actually, this is a recognition from the Biden administration, right? From the Secretary of Agriculture. And it will help us pursue other opportunities with the USDA, some of which I am not at liberty to speak about, according to Laura, because they're sensitive grants that we're waiting for action on. But the USDA is a big funder of sustainable urban agriculture, food and nutrition, and a host of other things. LaGuardia Community Greenway. This has been so much fun. Big thanks to everyone who turned out for any or all of the 8 Plaza Days right here on 29th Street. Remember, these were 8 Wednesdays. Well, one this week had to move inside, our Pride celebration, which we moved to the atrium because of atmospheric conditions. But guess what? Over 4,300 students, faculty, staff, and Long Island City neighbors, people from the community, 4,300 people came out to our 8 Plaza Days to help us celebrate and, frankly, help us make the point that we really want New York City DOT to give us that street and turn it into a public open plaza. Big thanks to Chief of Staff Nayeli Valencia and all of her many partners, too many to list, all of the volunteers, including many, many students, the student ambassadors. The student ambassadors took chalk, and when they wrote free tacos on 29th Street, that drove 4,000 of the 4,300 people right there. Everybody pitched in, and we had hundreds of different exhibits and lots of music and lots of fun. In fact, I think we might even have a video. Is that true? Let's take a look. All right, thank you. Manny Romero, Communications Marketing, great video. So, and thanks again, everybody, for coming out to our open streets. Casa de las Americas, you know, we had the 1-year birthday party planned for today, later today, to celebrate 1 year of Casa de las Americas. And the 1 year, you may recall, is because the CUNY Board of Trustees approved our proposal to create the Casa. It's an official center for CUNY back on June 27th of last year, 2022. So it's just only been a year, an incredible amount of wonderful activities. Felicitaciones to Professor Sonia Rodriguez, Ryan Mann Hamilton, and staff member, really the manager of the Casa, Stephanie Gonzalez. And thanks in advance to all of the committee members. There's a big executive committee that volunteer with La Casa who are driving us through the summer, doing programming now, and setting us up for a very exciting fall semester. And I should say, too, thanks especially to Nayeli. If this is a Casa, she's the super, you know, like the superintendent. She makes it happen. I want to recognize the great work, as always, of LaGuardia Cares, led by Rhonda Mouton, and especially note the success of our recent Airbnb partnership. You know, this is an effort Rhonda and I started with Airbnb to provide Airbnb apartments in Queens to students who are homeless or facing homelessness. And I checked with Rhonda last week, and she's helped 15 students already with this kind of interesting and practical solution where we help them identify rooms in Queens homes and then use vouchers to pay the hosts, so the rooms are free. And, you know, it's a fundraising challenge, but we have to raise more money to get more vouchers because unfortunately we're going to need to continue to do this in the fall. As I think about it, I think for many people, Airbnb is like, you think a weekend in the country or a getaway to Paris. But for our LaGuardia students, it's a small room in a Queens family home with a bed, a dresser, and a place to study. So thank you, Rhonda, for all your work to get that going. And also for organizing the recent and frequent fresh fruit and vegetable distributions. Have you been getting those emails every morning that there's eggs and fresh fruit and vegetables? This was a special distribution from a food suppliers in New Jersey that have been trucked here and that Rhonda has been and her team have been giving away. So big thanks. And big thanks, as I said before, to all the staff and faculty who donate to LaGuardia Cares directly, or to those of you that support the foundation that in turn supports LaGuardia Cares. Finally, let me do a little recognition and thanks as we as we complete the program this morning. As we wind down our COVID-19 operations, including testing, vaccine verification, reporting of positive cases, contact tracing, disinfections, as we wind all that down, thankfully, VP Irfan and I want to take a moment to thank all of our LaGuardia staff who stepped up and took on the day-to-day responsibilities, again, beyond their regular jobs. They stepped up to take on these tasks since March of 2020, which is, let's say it's more than 3 years ago. So I think they're probably relieved that we are winding down this work. But as they do that, let's recognize and give thanks to Teresia Litvai-Sardu, Evelyn Lomar, Renee Fuziyamor, and her colleagues in health services, Luz Rayol, Bonnie Brown, Gina Taraskevich, Peter Jayaskara, Patricia Quesada, and Christina Natali. Yes, how about it? Big thanks. And that's, they headed up groups of many other people. I mean, they get the special applause, but I know they would share it with their colleagues that help them do the work. Finally, a special thank you. This is, a little personal, but I want to make a special public thank you to Dr. Gail Bax-Jarrett for her service as our Interim Associate Dean of Enrollment Management before, Ben joined us. Gail stepped up to oversee student enrollment and recruitment during an incredibly challenging period for LaGuardia and for CUNY, really for higher education in general. And she did this for about 2 years. And all of us in the administration will be grateful. We are forever grateful to Gail for her leadership and hard work, again, as our Interim Associate Dean of Enrollment Management. So please, a round of applause and recognition for Gail. And another special thank you to Dr. Faye Butler, who served as our Interim Associate Dean of Student Affairs, as you know, during this same challenging period. Despite being short-staffed in some key areas of student affairs, Faye worked hard to ensure that her colleagues met our students' needs, many of which were, of course, intensified by the pandemic. So thank you very much, Faye. Now, my last thank you comes to mind in part because of a very important piece of Billy's presentation a few moments ago about advising and the changes we've made in advising. And so I want to offer a sincere thank you to our advisors, a special shout out to our advisors beyond the recognition that Billy gave them a moment ago. As she noted in her remarks, our advisors have moved from student affairs to the Office of Academic Affairs, where they work hard every day to guide and support our students. In some ways, I think of them as sometimes unsung heroes of student retention. And I want to recognize them and say unsung no more, and thank them, all of our advisors, for their commitment to our students. Thank you. Now, finally, I'm sure you've made all of your arrangements. Those of you with caps and gowns have them lined up and pressed, and you got figured out parking at Queens College. I'm talking about graduation. I hope you all will join us for commencement on June 21st, beautiful campus of Queens College. Thanks in advance to a very large team that is being led by Nayeli, and yes, Ineda Rivas came back to help. A very large team of people who've been out there already setting up for LaGuardia commencement 2023. Over 2,000 graduates this year. Tremendous event. Should be lots and lots of fun, and we hope to see all of you there. And after we do that, I'll say this there, but I'll say it here. Have a great summer. Thanks for coming this morning. See you soon.